Hi, everybody. Welcome to the African Businesswoman podcast. Now, this is a place where ambition meets culture and women like you and I rise, build, and lead with power. This is the place for your weekly dose of inspiration, strategy, and real talk for women, rewriting the business story of Africa. I am your host, Loveline Bassi. Today, I'm going to be talking about leadership on your African terms. So, we're African businesswomen, right? So, what does leadership mean on our African women terms? Now, there is an African proverb that says, a leader who does not take advice is not a leader. And this is applicable whether you are male or female, really doesn't matter. As long as you don't take advice, you're not a leader because you're not listening to anybody, you're not hearing anybody, you're not learning, and you're not growing. And of course, we know that the day we stop learning is actually the day we start to die, mentally, so to say. Leadership is something that sits very close to my heart. And I have my YouTube page is actually called Leadership with Loveland because that's something I really, really focus on. Many times we talk about leadership. Many people think big, they think shiny, they think corporate. In fact, they see these big people when you're talking about a leader. Like somebody once asked, can we talk about female leaders? And let's be quite honest, when you think about female leaders, a lot of people, a lot of women, even Black women, African women, we first think Oprah Winfrey. And for those in Africa, really, when we ask that question, there should be somebody in Africa that you should point at as a leader. For me personally, if you ask me the definition of a leader, or I should show you a person that personifies leadership, if leadership was a person, I will actually show you my mother. Because for me, she is the best example of leadership. It doesn't always have to be big, it doesn't have to be something foreign, because listen, not leadership is not a one size fits all thing. So looking at somebody who is a leader in the US or in the UK or in Germany or in France or in China, looking at those does not necessarily mean that the way they became leaders or their leadership style is applicable to us in Africa. And it doesn't mean that our leadership style in Africa is not valid. So the question then becomes, what does leadership look like for us in Africa? What does it look like? Who comes in mind? Are you still thinking of somebody in a suit? Earlier, I mentioned somebody corporate. Are you imagining the CEO of a company that is the person that is a leader? Or you might even be a politician that you're imagining, like, ooh, that politician is a leader. But leadership, it's really not just about titles. It's more than titles and it's more than positions. If you think about our mothers, I mentioned earlier that the best example of a leader for me is my mother. She is what I would call leadership. If you look at some of the market women, there is a place in Nigeria where one of the biggest markets in Africa, they call it Dumota, and the head of the market is actually a woman. Like that market, the head of the market, that woman is possibly one of the most powerful people in Lagos State because she has the power to shut down the entire market. So now that is a leader. People who organize their communities for different purposes, whether it's for health stuff, they are also leading. So it's really about the circle of influence. It's not just about the position, but it's the influence, it's the wisdom, and definitely the service. Because leadership without service, you know, obviously, it doesn't matter. When we think service, we're always thinking good. It has to be good. But you know something? In one of the classes I was one time, someone asked the question, do you think Hitler was a leader? Now, for those who don't know Hitler, Hitler was a German leader, and he was the one who was hell bent on eradicating the world of every Jew. And he committed huge genocide against the Jews. But he was serving a cause. He was serving a group of people that hated Jews. So really, at the end of the day, he was a leader for good or for bad. he was. Now, I don't subscribe to that, and I really don't think that that is a great thing to look at. And Hitler should not be an example for anybody, really, because of what he stood for. So, one of my very important African philosophies, and I really love it, is one that comes from South Africa, and it is the concept of Ubuntu. Ubuntu means I am because we are. And I really think our concept of leadership in Africa is rooted in Ubuntu, because it's looking beyond a person. It's not saying that you're taking up space for just yourself, that it doesn't just lift you, but leadership lifts you and also everybody around you. There is space for everybody. So if we really take from Ubuntu and look close at our African traditions, we'll really see that leadership is expressed in so many ways. Even when you look at the female community in the village, and they call them different names depending on which part of Africa you are in. When someone is getting married, you see they call them the sisters of this household. In some places they call them the wives of this household, but you find a woman that's leading there, and it's the same thing with the men. So we see leadership expressed in so many different ways, and even our elders that tell us stories about our history, and all of those people that hold our history, they pass down wisdom. They are teaching us the values of our community, of our culture. All of those people are also leaders in their own way. In the African society, we really believe in community and the collective, and it's not just top down, and we really believe in sharing. Now, and this is where it really differs for us from the West, because when we look at the West, it's a lot about capitalism, it's a lot about the I, and there's less focus on community. But in Africa, there's a lot of focus on community, and that even when you lift yourself up, you take care of the I, you cannot, or rather, you should not ignore the we. So your I should be in the we. Another thing about the African leadership style is that it's resilient, like a lot of leadership styles around the world. It's also innovative. So it goes beyond just the we, the I in the we. It also is all of those things that the Western type of leadership is, which is resilient, which is innovative. We may not even have everything. Like, look at Africa. In some cases, when you look at Africa, I went to a place today and I was looking at it, I'm like, come on, guys. This place, we had Westerners that lived in this place, and the place was well kept. The roads were clean, everything, structure was proper. And over years, our African people moved in there and we kind of messed it up. So that's also a problem we have with Africa, where there's no leadership, or when leadership goes astray from the core values of leadership. Looking at the leadership styles, and let me give you two examples of African female leaders. This is the African Business Woman podcast, after all. Oh, actually, three. Let me give you three examples. The first one I want to talk about is one that's environmental. The one works for an international organization, and the other one is a businesswoman. Now, the first one is Wangari Maathai from Kenya. She's late now. She passed, I believe, in 2011 or so. But she was an environmentalist who was really driving the cause of planting trees, because she really believed that the more trees we had, the better our environment would be, because they were cutting down all those trees and it was just increasing pollution. So she was reversing the damage to the environment, essentially. But she was also the first African woman to win a Nobel Peace Prize. Can you imagine being the first to win that? Like, that is just crazy achievement. Like, that's somebody to look up to. Another person is Okonjo-Iweala, Ngozi Okonjo-Iweala, and she's from Nigeria. And like, that woman, talk about global banks, she's been there, IMF, all of that stuff, World Bank. Like, she is the real deal. She is the queen of finance, as far as I'm concerned. And she ties this her scarf, and I'm not a person that knows how to tie a duke. And her duke is definitely better than mine, but she has the signature duke that looks like she just threw the thing on her head and, and tied it quickly. But that's her signature, and she loves to wear her African wear, so she stands out all the time. She really, really represents a powerful African female leader. The last one I want to mention is Funsho Alakija. She is an oil magnate. Like, she started as a fashion designer. Can you imagine that? And over time, opportunities came. She was right place, right time, right opportunities. And this woman owns oil wells. She is the richest woman in Africa. So we have these amazing women. But you know the thing, when we look at these amazing women, sometimes we want to be them. And not just them, want to be exact photocopies of them. We want to talk like them, we want to dress like them, we want to walk like them. We really want to imitate their style of leadership. But do you know that none of these three women sound the same? The people I mentioned. They don't look the same, they don't sound the same, they're not the same height, they don't dress the same, they dress differently. Like, they own their own leadership style. They are not trying to speak like somebody else. Like, for me, I learn from people, but I am not a copy of anybody. You will not find me trying to speak like anybody, trying to dress like anybody, trying to look like anybody. I try to look like myself 100% all the time. Being authentic in your leadership. When you're growing in leadership, when you're growing in business, don't try to copy other people. Like, learn from them, but don't try to be duplicates of them, especially if you're trying to become a success as an African businesswoman. Make sure that you are guiding people in your steps that you're taking. When you're starting a business, make sure it's solving a problem in the community. Don't just start a business that doesn't help anybody. you know, you can do that. But ultimately, at least let it help somebody beyond yourself. And your leadership can even be, because the thing is, when I talk about the African businesswoman, I want you to understand that I am not trying to isolate those who are employed and who work every day for somebody else. I'm also not trying to isolate the stay-at-home moms, because they are also leaders in their own rights. So don't get me wrong, because even they lead, as long as they are leading their children with integrity and all of that, teaching them all of this skills and stuff, they are also leading in their households. Every step you take should always have your voice. But to have your own voice as a leader, there are certain things that you need to do. You need to have principles. What are your core founding principles? What are the principles that no matter what happens in life, you will not deviate from them? Like, I am a person that no matter how hard it is, I will tell you the truth. I don't care what it's going to do. Like, I will tell you the truth. Um, there's that thing of, oh, lie to people. No, 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 no. I don't do that. I'll tell you the truth. Now, how you handle it, how I deliver it, the delivery method, I'll have to be careful about it depending on circumstance. But the truth is the truth. Trying to lie to people, it never works out. It might work out today, but it always stings you in the back later. Know your cultural values so that you don't deviate from them, because those cultural values always help you. Stay open to new ideas as well. And now, when I say cultural values, please don't get me wrong. I am one of those people that firmly believe that certain cultural things should be changed. For example, putting women below, like ranking women below men, I think that should change. Making dumbing down a woman's voice because she's a woman over a man's voice, no, I believe that should change. So there's quite a lot of cultural stuff that I believe should change, but it doesn't mean that we should throw away all our cultural values. Now, you need to also learn to lead with service, not just authority. It's not that they're not shouting at people, backing at people. Yes, people are doing stuff for you, but what are you doing for them? So when I think of African leadership, I really think about the African businesswoman right at the top of that African leadership. I see women at the forefront. I see women being the driving force, because when the African businesswoman is succeeding, when she is functional financially, when she is functional in society, when she's doing well in that small business, in that medium-sized business, in that big business, she takes care of her community. It's very difficult to find a woman who makes money and then ignores her responsibilities. Very, very hard to find that. So I really believe in the African businesswoman. I believe that that we are growing to lead in boardrooms, stand up out there, our voices to be heard, leading in different aspects. Because you know what? The world does not need us to make copies of one another. We actually just need to be originals of ourselves. There's no point in making a copy of one another. It's like, don't. We need to be original. We need to be bold. We also need to be unapologetic about it. There's a proverb I'm going to close with, and it's an African proverb that says, if you want to go fast, go alone. But if you want to go far, go together. It's one of the backbones of the African style of leadership. So it's not a one size fits all. Lead in your own voice, lead in your own style, but remember that we are in this together. We are in all of this together. We're not leaving anybody behind. We're taking everybody with us. Thank you so much for listening to today's podcast. Remember, if you like what you've heard today, and I'm sure you have, make sure to like, subscribe, comment, and share the podcast with the world. Don't keep it to yourself. Okay? Do not keep it to yourself, because we need this word to spread so we can lift one another up and up and up. I am Lovelyn Bassey, and this podcast has been the African Businesswoman Podcast. Until next time, remember to walk in power, lead with purpose, keep building, keep rising. Remember, your legacy starts now, and never forget, Africa needs that beautiful, gorgeous voice of yours. Cheers. Bye.